Good morning and Happy New Year to the great people of EKITI South and EKITI and Nigeria as a whole. It is your son, your brother, your friend, and the ADC senatorial candidate for EKITI South, EKITI State, Nigeria, Ayokunle Ayodele. It is the first time I'll speak with us this year, and I want to say, as we have started this year on the platter of bliss, rejoicing and happy, the grace of God shall sustain us to sail through the year blissfully, happily, in strength, and with victory in the name of Jesus. Thank you. We have to remind ourselves of something quite important, that at this point in the history of Nigeria, at this point in the evolution of our great fatherland, once adorned the giant of Africa, that at this point our great nation Nigeria unfortunately stands on a very thin cliff edge. The responsibility not to allow Nigeria tip the cliff lies on all of us. And this is why I have come to implore us. This is why I have come to remind us again of our civic responsibilities, of our moral responsibilities, and of the imperative need for sincere transformation, for sincere contribution of each and everyone's quota. I need to ask us some questions at this point. Do we enjoy being enslaved and being in open penitentiary as a people? As a people, do we really enjoy sitting, dwelling on so much, yet lacking so much? Nigeria is one of the most endowed nations on the planet Earth. Nigeria has, properly so-called, has everything it takes to compete the greatest nations, the greatest developed nations in the world. The US, the France, the Germany, the China, the Canadas of this world. Because comparatively, Nigeria has more than all these countries individually. Human resources, natural resources, land, agriculture. Solely agriculture would sustain Nigeria. After all, agriculture made Nigeria the giant of Africa. Solely petroleum would sustain Nigeria with some sincerity. Solely natural resources, iron ore, bauxite, beryl, sandstone, granite, gneiss. All these would jointly sustain Nigeria as a country. And Nigeria has all of this in quantities that are sufficient that is sufficient individually to put Nigeria in a very competitive trend among or amidst the committee of nations in the world. But where are we today? Nigeria ranks amongst among the 15 poorest nations in the world. Though Nigerians, beginning with pastors and executives, ranks amongst the richest in the world. It is a good time we tell ourselves these blatant truths. I have come because at this moment, we all owe the responsibility to contribute our quota of patriotism. Nigeria stands on a very thin edge, and if everyone does not strike a balance, turn a new leaf, and contribute patriotism to the system, Nigeria would tip. And this is why the elections coming up February is rather the most important in the history of Nigeria, or in the evolution of Nigeria, because this election stands not for a change of government. It stands for a revival. It stands on an inflection zone upon which, if right decisions are not made, the name Nigeria may find it so hard to be what exactly it used to be. We all have a right to a good life. We have a right to security. We have a right to good infrastructures. We have a life to social security. We have a right to good health. We have a right to good education. We have all rights to good living. And Nigeria has sufficient resources to provide all this. However, what has the incumbent criminators and political vandals that claim to be our leaders, or that called ourselves our leaders, or that we elected by our avaricious and fraudulent non-patriotic acts, what have they offered us in the last 3 decades? Nothing. Impoverishment, poverty, insecurity grows by the day. Education deteriorates by the day. Energy deteriorates by the day. Infrastructure deteriorates by the day. It is only in Nigeria where one major bridge will be commissioned in the 8 years run of a government, and it will become so much noise. Infrastructures are basic human rights. In the trend of global development today, putting up infrastructures are normal aspects of life. They are not celebrated achievements. When would we as a nation keep up or match up to the global technology trend? Augmented reality, disaster simulations teaches today at Japanese primary schools, but our tertiary institutions in Nigeria is never stable for students to be at school. When the school system is not stable, where do we even start talking about research? We talk about development, technology. All these are purely academic-based developments. Technology is developed from the schools, from the research centers. But when our schools are never opened, when are we ever going to talk about developing research centers? However, this finger of accusation or blames should stop to point just to the leaders or the executives. I think to fix Nigeria, individual Nigerians really need to turn around, strike a balance, turn a new leaf, and become visionary. I think as citizens, most have betrayed the creed. Most have betrayed the moral responsibility and obligations. Most are quite unpatriotic. You need a change, but you need the politicians to pay you to make that change. No, you are the one failing the nation. You need a change. You need a sincere change indeed. But you know the right candidate. But yes, because he couldn't afford to tip you, to bribe you, against your common sense of reality, you voted for the criminator that has embezzled in the last 4 years, in the last 8 years, because you got some bribe a day to election or during the election. One, you have messed up our electioneering process. Two, you have betrayed humanity. You have betrayed the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you are worse than that leader that gave the bribe. You have contributed to the downfall, continual downfall of Nigeria. Great people of EKITI South, I, Ayokunle Ayodele, I stand there before you this day to tell you, I speak to you from Albany, New York. I see things around me. I mingle with the same set of people that make these things happen. I know how to make things happen. I know how to turn things around. The first thing is, everyone needs to be sincere about the need for change. Everyone needs to answer the clarion call for transformation Nigeria, revival Nigeria, great nation. The great nation Nigeria starts with one person, and that is you. That is me. This is why I have presented myself not as a typical politician, but as a professional, as a technocrat, as a manager, as an engineer, exposed, learned, with wherewithal and vision, self-sponsoring my campaign. I don't have a godfather, but I have a God. I have the truth, and I know I have you, the patriots. I know I have you, the reasonable ones. I know I have you that will believe in transformation Nigeria. And this is why I have come to implore us this day that we come together as one, that we come together to oust, to stand up to. I have presented myself to stand up for you. I have spent myself, I have spent my time, I have lost so much. It is your turn. to stand up, to support the truth. It is your turn to stand up, to support patriotism. It is your turn to stand up, to say enough is enough, to say no to tyranny. It is your turn to join me, together to say no to tyranny, together to say no to corruption, together to say no to bad governance, together to say no to bad education, to deteriorating education system, together to say no to poor energy system, together to say no to lackluster health system, together to say no to embezzlement, together to say no to this search of tyrannous, corrupt, so-called leaders. Together, it is time together to stand up to the corrupt status quo. This is why you wouldn't have to wait for a bribe. This is why you wouldn't have to wait for a tip. This is why you wouldn't have to wait for a bag of rice or a tin of rice. This is why we need to know at this point in time that it is our joint responsibility to take governance and put it in the hands of those that have wherewithal, to put it in the hands of the patriots that would lead our country in the right direction. It is not transformation. It's not about what we put in our mouth instanter. It is a time Nigerians comes together to say no to timidity, to say no to instant relief and a long-term suffering. It is a time you call them the fools. It is a time we come together as a people to come out en masse against all odds, to cast our votes in the next poll. To me, Kunle Ayodele, as the next to be elected as the next senator for EKITI South Senatorial District. To say no to the incumbent PDP, Olujimi, that has been there for 8 years. They've had access to a whopping 1.6 billion naira, but will not be able to show for anything functional in the entire senatorial district. It is time we say no to Adaramodu, that has been the rep for 4 years, that has nothing to show for it. It is time to let them know the 10,000 they give to you to manipulate you is not worth what their dog feeds on a day at times. So they consider their dogs better than you. They consider the life of their dog for a day better than your lives for 4 years, for 8 years. Great people of EKITI South, we need to be reasonable with ourselves. Yes, I am on the ballot, but I stand by the truth. I stand by the truth. I owe humanity, not any man. And this is why I have no godfather, but God and you. I owe no man, I owe humanity. And what do I owe humanity? I owe humanity service. Service to my fatherland. Service to my great nation. Service to my people. And this is why I would not conform to the same way the corrupt, typical Nigerian politician do disservice to the system. This is why I would tell you there is a need for a good education system. This is why I will tell you the only way we will have a good education system is for us to have good administrators. The only way our technology will develop is for us to have a good education system, good research system. The only way we will have that is to have people that are visionary, that are patriotic at the helm of affairs. And this is why I have volunteered myself to come into the system. My people alone, I am smiling, but I know together we can laugh. Alone, I am walking, but I know together we can make a movement. Alone now I am speaking, but I know together we can have a voice. My great people of EKITI South, it is time we oust these corrupt leaders. It is time we take our nation and rebuild it to be good, to be productive, to be secure, and to develop for all of us. However, to fix Nigeria, we need to start by ourselves. We need to fix ourselves. We need to put aside avariciousness. We need to put aside mediocrity. We need to put aside being easily manipulated. We need to put aside being swayed. By stuff that does not give us any long-term sustainability. This is why we need to make up our minds today. Where do you stand? Do you want a sincere change? Or you only pretend it to yourself? Or you're timid enough not to know you deserve a good life? Or not to know your child or children deserves a good life? If your answer to you today is, you know you deserve a good life, you know your children and your unborn generations deserves a good life, and Nigeria has all it takes, then today you have to turn around, turn a new leaf, strike a balance, and make up your mind. You are not going to wait for a bribe. You are not going to wait for a tip. You are not going to wait for a tin of rice, a sachet of detergent, or a tip of 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 before you do what is right. Do what is right today. Start with you and by you. Do what is right by making up your mind, by going out February, casting your polls, casting your votes, without being influenced, without being disenfranchised. Make sure you tell others to do the same thing. Nigeria is ours. Nigeria we should serve under the rain and in the sun. This is a clarion call. Youths, let us all answer this clarion call. Let us lead our nation right. Let us do what is right by starting with ourselves and influencing others around us. We are not timid people. We are not fools in Nigeria. We are not mental mediocres. We are not paupers. Some people put everyone in that situation and they use the fund that belongs to you and myself, that they've stolen from you and from me. They bring the same fund to manipulate you when it's electioneering time. Dissuading you, distracting you from voting the right people. The right people are there. AA4SENATE, Ayokunle, Ayodele, Senate EKITI South. Ayeni for House of Rep, Goma Ajayi Atomo, Akin Atomo, and a lot others out there. And I want to make this very clear. We are at a point in Nigeria where our polity should not be party-based, because no party is exclusive of good candidates. No party is exclusive of good ideology. Every party has the good ones. Every party has the asses, the bad ones. It is a time we come together to go for these excellent ones all across board. It is a time we stop falling prey of the partisan manipulations. I pray God will give us the grace. And like I said earlier, together we can transform Nigeria. Together we can build good educational system. My people of EKITI South, I have two major responsibilities when I become the next senator of EKITI South. My statutory responsibilities to legislate, to sponsor, co-sponsor, support, or co-support bills that goes in line with my flow, the fear of God, love of God, obedience to God, and walking upon God's ways, in line with God's tenets and patriotism. I have 7 bills already, because the most critical issues Nigeria has are predicated upon education, energy, economy, and security. Based on these 4 critical points, my EKITI people, EKITI South people, I have 7 bills already proposed that I am going to be sponsoring, co-sponsoring, facilitating, or supporting. And these bills will put emergency on education development, education and research development. Will put emergency on energy and technovation development. Will put emergency on agro-businesses and agro-preneurship to diversify the economy. Will put immediate emergency on security to squash insecurity. I have proposed bills on females and disability, broad inclusiveness. I have bills. I've already proposed bill on citizenship, homeland citizenship, and diaspora inclusiveness. Acts. I retain the rest for now. On my developmental responsibility to my people, every senator has access to a defined senatorial development fund yearly. It is 2 million for the senator and 100 million for the rep. Our incumbents have taken this money, these funds, for 8 years and for 4 years respectively. They have nothing to show for it. They know how to keep this money for their children and children. That means they have vision, but not for you as a people. But they are out there now taking a little bitty peanuts out of what they've stolen from you, bringing it back to you to manipulate you. Youth could be empowered. 100 youths can be substantially empowered. Not empowerment of 10,000. That is an insult to anyone. Youths can broadly be empowered. 100 per local government per year. Farm roads, minimum of 5, can be opened up. Farm settlements could be created where people are employed, where foods are produced. These funds are enough to go in collaboration with world global renowned agricultural consortiums to develop agriculture, to turn EKITI South local government, EKITI South senatorial district, to a hub of economy in Nigeria, to a hub of agro-preneurial businesses in Nigeria. The list goes on. A lot can be get done when these funds are put where they're supposed to be put. When these funds are expended patriotically, in line with my flow, in line with the fear of God, love of God, obedience to God, and walking in line with God. When people go with my flow, they will not steal your money. They will not lie to you. They will not keep you in dark while they live in light. They won't go to bed well fed, full, while you live in hunger. This is what you've got from them, over and over, back to back. My people of EKITI South, it is time. Ẹ jẹ́ ká ronú. It is time. It is time tá a nígbà àtẹnujẹ kékèké láti tún ba orí wa jẹ́, láti ba ọjọ́ iwájú wa jẹ́ nsìn. It is time tá a ní dúró de ẹni tá a bá mọ̀ pé ó lè ṣe láti gbé ráìsì wá or láti lọ jalè kó tó di pé a lọ dìbò fún. This is the bit I will say now. My great people of EKITI South, together we can. Together we can transform our nation. Together we can transform EKITI. Together we can transform EKITI South. Together we can have good governance. Together we can have good education. Together we can make consensus legislation. Ṣé ti béèrè lọ́wọ́ wọn rí pé kí nìdí tí wọn kì í padà wá láti wá bá yín ṣe ìpàdé? No constituency meetings. They intentionally avoid it because kò sí nǹkan tó fẹ́ sọ fún yín. When I become the senator, I will hold a quarterly constituency non-partisan meeting where everyone, the kings, the royals, the political executives, the electorates that are the strongest, everyone will meet. Quarterly meeting, 3 days in a quarter, I will be in the senatorial district to feed you back what I have been able to do within the quarter. And for you to be able to tell me what next you need me to do. For you to be able to tell me your grievances. For you to be able to tell me your observations within the last quarter. And for me to be able to work with those information in conjunction with leaders from every other party. For me to be able to take that to Abuja, to serve as a predicate for my next or following actions. Great people of EKITI South, I want to plead with you. Arise For now is the time. My brothers and sisters in EKITI, my brothers and sisters in EKITI, my brothers and sisters in Boeing, Emre, Omo, Southwest, enough is enough. Please stand up, rise up, support me. And I assure you, I give you my word, you will all be the better for it. AA4SENATE, Asheyori, Isheoluwani. Once again, Happy New Year. Odun Ayabo fun wa. Àmín.